Have you ever left a meeting with your Japanese colleagues thinking, I understood every sentence, but I still don't know what happens next? The easy explanation is that Japanese communication is indirect and American communication is direct. But that explanation is too simple, and it does not solve anything. Gallup reported that only 47% of U.S. employees strongly agreed that they knew what was expected of them at work. Microsoft's 2025 Work Trend Index also reported 275 interruptions per employee per day from meetings, emails, and chats. So this is not only a Japan problem. Modern workplaces produce a lot of information and not enough clarity. Japan can add another layer because context, relationships, hierarchy, and consensus often carry part of the message. Those things can be useful. The problem begins when the listener cannot see the destination or the path. I'm a manager in Japan. In this video, I'll take 3 concrete communication problems that people are discussing online or that have appeared in cross-cultural business guidance. For each one, I'll show you a practical repair with prep, whole part, or both. The goal is not to become blunt. The goal is to help the other person understand, respond, and act. Problem 1. The meeting where nothing seems to be decided. In a recent online discussion, a software engineer who had worked in Japan for several years described a frustrating pattern. Important decisions seemed to be made privately by 1 or 2 people. Little was shared beforehand. Then, the formal meeting contained many people, but very little real discussion. Some replies made an important correction. That can be bad company culture, not simply Japanese culture. Companies in Japan are not all the same. Still, the frustration is recognizable. A meeting can have at least 3 different purposes: exploring options, building alignment, or confirming a decision. If participants assume different purposes, the same meeting feels completely different to each person. One person thinks, we are here to debate. Another thinks, we are here to avoid surprises. A third thinks, the decision is already made. This is the formal confirmation. That mismatch creates the feeling that the meeting is theater. Solution 1. Prep plus a meeting contract. The repair starts before the background. Use prep to state the meeting contract. Point. The decision we need today is whether to delay the launch by 1 week. Reason. The customer added a requirement that changes our approval flow. Example. Engineering and compliance need 3 additional checks, which cannot be completed safely by Tuesday. Point again. My recommendation is Friday, and I would like to test that recommendation against your concerns before we decide. That last phrase matters in Japan. You are not saying, here is my answer, discussion over. You are making the destination visible while creating space for consultation. Then label the meeting mode. Say, today is for discussion, today is for alignment, or today is for final approval. And close with 4 items in writing: decision, owner, deadline, and unresolved concern. For example, we agreed on Friday. Mika owns customer communication by 3 p.m. today. Daniel owns the revised schedule by tomorrow. Compliance will confirm the remaining risk. This respects consensus while preventing ambiguity. Nemawashi can still happen. People can still raise concerns privately, but everyone can see what the formal meeting accomplished. Problem 2. Communication overhead becomes the work. In a recent discussion, a person new to a traditional Japanese corporate environment described spending enormous energy on keigo, vague emails from a manager, and the correct format for hode and so, reporting, informing, and consulting. The person felt that formatting communication was taking more time than doing the actual work. That feeling is especially relevant now. When people are interrupted all day, adding more messages does not automatically create more alignment. Hode and so is useful when it gives the organization early visibility into progress, risk, and decisions. It becomes wasteful when every update is a long chronological diary and the receiver still has to discover the point. Recent Japanese research adds an important nuance. Japanese employees generally accepted the idea of hoden-so, but they did not accept indirect instructions or refusals from their superiors. Ambiguity is not only frustrating to foreign employees. Solution 2. A 5-line prep update. For routine reports, use a 5-line prep update. Line 1, status. Line 2, the point or decision needed. Line 3, the reason. Line 4, one concrete fact. Line 5, the next action and owner. Here is a vague version. The customer contacted us yesterday, and there are several things we need to confirm. Engineering is checking the impact, and we are discussing the schedule. There may be some difficulty with the current plan. Now the 5-line version. Status, at risk. Decision needed, approve delivery on Friday instead of Tuesday. Reason, the customer added a compliance requirement. Evidence, it creates 3 additional checks. Next action, if you approve by noon, I will inform the customer today. This is still hoden-so. In fact, it makes reporting and consulting easier because the manager immediately knows how to help. If no decision is needed, say that too. No action needed, sharing for visibility. That one sentence prevents the receiver from wondering whether a hidden request is buried in the message. Problem 3. I understand is mistaken for agreement. Jetro Communication Guidance describes a memorable cross-cultural case. A Singaporean team presented a marketing plan to Japanese colleagues. The Japanese group appeared enthusiastic. 2 weeks later, the Singaporean team received a very different plan by email. They called it the bomb email. The misunderstanding was not necessarily dishonesty. The positive response in the meeting might have meant, I understand your presentation, or this is interesting, rather than we agree to use this plan. This distinction matters because a listener can acknowledge information without accepting a proposal. The same problem appears in task assignments. A manager explains a task, the employee says, I understand, and both leave with different pictures of the finished result. Repeating the instruction louder won't fix the missing shared picture. Solution 3. Whole part plus a confirmation loop. Use whole part when people need a shared map. Start with the whole, the goal and finished state. Then show the parts. Work streams, owners, sequence, and checkpoints. Finally, reconnect each person's part to the whole. For example, we need to decide on Friday whether to launch this product in Japan. The decision has 3 inputs: customer demand, competitor positioning, and our recommendation. You own competitor positioning. Please compare the top 3 competitors on price, target customer, and distribution. Put the result on one slide by Thursday at 3 p.m. so we can review it before Friday's decision. Your analysis will tell us whether we have a clear position in the market. Then add a confirmation loop. Do not ask only, do you understand? That question is easy to answer with yes. Ask, before we finish, could you tell me what you will deliver, by when, and what decision it supports? For proposals, ask a different question. Are we acknowledging the idea, continuing evaluation, or approving it? Those options separate understanding from agreement without forcing an immediate yes or no. Finally, summarize the result in writing. Jetro's guidance recommends clarifying objectives before and at the start of a meeting, recording the main points, confirming next steps at the end, and confirming the result again afterward. Prep and whole part solve different problems. Prep makes the destination visible. Use it when the listener must evaluate a conclusion, recommendation, request, or risk. Whole part makes the map visible. Use it when the listener must execute work, understand a process, or coordinate with others. In real management, you often use both. Prep upward. My recommendation is to delay by 1 week because the customer requirement changes our approval flow.
whole part outward. To deliver next Friday, we have 3 work streams: engineering, compliance, and customer communication. Here is the owner and deadline for each. The first structure aligns the decision, the second aligns the execution. Before you send an email, assign a task, or begin a meeting, use the Rabbit Manager check. Ask 4 questions. What should the other person understand? What should they decide or do? Do they need a destination, a map, or both? What context helps them act, and what context can wait? If they need to judge an idea, use prep. If they need to carry out work, use whole part. If they need both, lead with prep and follow with whole part. And always close the loop in writing. A 2025 study of more than 1,000 people in Japan found that employees who reported adequate internal communication also showed employee performance scores even after accounting for factors such as company size and education. Communication quality changes